sad sky blue barge on the canal here at Stratford. Man City are out of the Champions League. Well, it's been another night of drama in Europe, and we've got another busy morning of reflection here on Club 2020 Daily as we look back on the night that sunk Man City and ahead, oh look, a red barge to the other side of Manchester football, United, who go tonight in the Europa League semi-finals. We'll be hearing from Dwight Yorke. We'll get a word or two as well from Bruno Fernandes. It's all unmissable stuff, even if you're Raheem Sterling, and it all starts with a look back at last night.
It's a chance. Oh, he's got it. It's finally gone. Thomas Muller on target. Perisic. Oh, it's in. It's a gigantic goal for Guardiola. They might be in for another one. Drilled in towards Muller. Lyon have taken the lead. It's another slice of Belgian magic. Such a good attacking threat down the left-hand side for Bayern Munich. Look at that. Absolutely brilliant. It's an historic night for RB Leipzig. What a comeback for the Parisians. Manchester City are behind again. A night we'll never forget. The shock result of the quarter-finals. Lyon have beaten Manchester City.
Well, cheer up, City. It would have been Bayern next to anyway. That anyway completes the Champions League quarter-final lineup. Semi-final lineup. PSG beat Atalanta on Wednesday. They'll now go through to take on Leipzig, who put out Atletico Madrid. It was Bayern on Friday with that epic end of an era evisceration of Barcelona, who will be taking on Lyon after they put out Man City last night. Tonight and tomorrow, the action shifts to Germany for the Europa League semi-finals. Sevilla up against Man United this evening. Our coverage starts on BT Sport 1 and Ultimate from 7 p.m. and 7:30 tomorrow. The show starts as we cover Inter Milan's clash with Shakhtar from Dusseldorf. And then we're back to Portugal for the two Champions League semis. RB Leipzig, PSG, Lyon against Bayern Munich. Of course, Club 2020 Daily is with you every morning on BT Sport 1 and on YouTube from 11 a.m. We're joined here today in our Stratford HQ by Rory Smith of the New York Times. Howdy.
Howdy, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thanks, Rory. Lovely to see you here in the studio. There'll be a lot of unhappy Man City fans this morning, and you can understand that. But by and large, this is continuing to be a brilliant tournament.
It's kind of had everything, well, that you would have wanted, and also that UEFA would have wanted. It's had two shocks, Leipzig and Lyon. Yeah. Atalanta's heartache, and then that kind of, as you say, that era-defining, era-ending performance by Bayern against Barcelona. It's been a fairly good, week, 10 days of football.
Yeah, absolutely. And loads of good stuff for the papers. Let's have a quick look at the headlines post-City's exit. This one from the Sunday Times today. City blow it again. Hang on, is that last year's one? No, that's today's. What else we got here? The Express, broken heart for Pep, for Chap. And then Sunday Mirror, Guardiola. Wow. I mean, I'd just say, you've got to feel sorry for them. Equally, you've got to feel delighted for Lyon because they're a team who's been through some really tough times this year. They're not one of these massively wealthy sides. They have to rely on their academy, and they managed to upset, coming back from 5 months out of football, Juventus, and now Manchester City.
Yeah, and what an academy as well. The three in midfield yesterday are 20, 21 and 22, I think. Two of them homegrown, and then Bruno Guimaraes brought in from Brazil. And City were poor, and City let themselves down as probably one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the world. This is the team that finished 7th in France, but the doggedness, the tenacity, the game plan of Lyon, they deserve a lot of credit for what they did, and I wouldn't assume that Bayern will have a really easy semi-final against them either, to be honest.
All right, well, we'll be seeing that in the middle of next week, of course. Just one English side left in European competition. It is Manchester United, who are in action this evening against Sevilla. In honour of that, we've made them the subject of our poll this morning, hashtag Club 2020, and, of course, on YouTube. And give us your answers to this question. Which is the best Man United strike force of the modern era? Do you reckon 1998-99, the Dwight Yorke era, the 2005, 2006, Van Nistelrooy, Rooney, that kind of thing, or Rooney, Tevez and Ronaldo in 07-08, or the current iteration with Greenwood and Martial and Marcus Rashford, of course. Do let us know your thoughts. If you have any questions for Aurori or our special guest, who is Dwight Yorke, will be joining us very, very shortly, then do send those in as well. All right, loads of Man United talk is coming up on today's show, but we're going to begin with the ghosts of last night in Lisbon. Our man at the game was Des Kelly.
And it's the shock result of the quarter-finals. Lyon have beaten Manchester City.
I'm very proud. We did very well tonight against a great team, a great coach, Pep Guardiola, and it's a big, big result for us.
I think we worked really hard to win every single competition. We had special focus on Champions League, especially after not winning the Prem, but it shows that this competition is made for the best teams in Europe.
You've overcome Juventus, you've overcome Manchester City.
Every game we were outsider, but we believe in our group. The team spirit was fantastic for my team tonight.
We didn't have the lucky to score our goal, and then I think in the counter-attack or 1 minute, 2 minutes later they scored their goal. This is football.
Were you surprised that Pep Guardiola changed his formation to match up against yours?
No. With Pep is always possible. Tactically, is a master. But I think that tonight we won the tactical battle.
At the end, we trust the manager. If he thinks that that's the best game plan to play against them, obviously we are happy for it.
Maybe one day we're going to break this part of the quarterfinals. We are not able to do it. I'm not able with these incredible guys to do it. We're going to try in the future.
What an eloquent sigh there from Pep Guardiola. He knew the questions that were coming, and boy, did they.
Yeah, he's not a man who enjoys his media engagements particularly. I think that will have been torture for him last night. Yeah, the sigh kind of said it all.
Right. Meanwhile, celebrations were continuing in the Lyon dressing room. As we mentioned, it's been an extraordinary achievement. They changed manager after a disastrous start under Silvinho. The guy they brought in was massively unpopular with the fans, Rudy Garcia. He hadn't had the greatest of track records, certainly at Roma previously, but he's just done an astonishing job. And it's interesting because they actually credit the fact that they had such an extended break because Ligue 1 was effectively cancelled back in February, to just work on what they do and concentrate on what they do, which is a bit of a contrast to the approach taken last night by Pep.
Yeah, Pep obviously kind of switched his approach. He matched up Lyon, which I think, given what happened against the same team last season, you can kind of understand. And City have struggled against teams that play three at the back this season. I think the majority of their defeats in the Premier League came against teams playing three at the back. Lyon seemed to know the system better. They seemed really comfortable in the system that they were playing, because that's how they always play. And you wonder if that cost City a bit of their fluency. It came back in the second half, in the build-up to De Bruyne's goal, but they just never seemed themselves, Manchester City, whereas Lyon, who were a little bit more defensive than they used to be, a little bit more kind of dogged and tenacious, I suppose is the best way of describing it. They stuck to their task. They knew what their game plan was. They got a little bit lucky, but they got the rewards.
Well, they did indeed, didn't they? That was the massive chance for Raheem Sterling, poor chap, to put City level, and who knows what would have happened at that point. Instead, 59 seconds later, down the other end, and Lyon make it 3-1. Moussa Dembele with a brace after not scoring any goals in the Champions League previously this season. There was a nice little exchange on the social between Chris Sutton and Moussa Dembele. Chris Sutton saying how nice it is that a former star in Scotland has managed to shine us where now maybe some of the doubters, people stupidly shunning him in Premier League clubs. He just knocked out Moneybags Man City. Moussa replies, "Thank you, Chris, I appreciate it. Semi-final will be another battle, but I'm used to it." Well, we should mention on the subject of Moussa Dembele that his involvement wasn't just scoring that third goal. There was also what looked like a foul in the build-up to it.
Yeah, it was very strange that wasn't ruled out. I have to say, this will go down in the kind of realms of unpopular football opinions. When those are normally given,
yes.
Every time they are given, I think, should they be given?
But they are usually given.
They are usually given.
So you might not like it, but that
exactly.
should be a...
I don't make the rules, James. That's definitely true.
Right.
So that should have been ruled out. I guess what the video assistant referee would have said would be that the referee's eye line, as you can see there, he saw it, And I guess they must have decided it was a fair interpretation of it. I'm surprised that the goal was allowed to stand. The offside was a bit of a red herring. That wasn't an offside, but that was a foul. But I have to say that the fact that that was kind of inside the last 20 minutes, Manchester City, one of the richest clubs in the world, with the best coach in the world, that they were struggling against Lyon to the extent they had been, I don't think saying, well, we should have got this VAR decision is really enough of an explanation, to be perfectly honest. It's important. It was a moment that changed the game. But should City have been 1-1 with Lyon after 75 minutes? I'm not sure they should have been, really. Aymeric
Laporte citing it there. I'm not going to hide, he says, I'm a football player, but we should have had help from VAR. Your point, they shouldn't need help from VAR. I completely understand why City fans will say, what if? And they'll also say, what if about the moment when Raheem Sterling, who's been so strong for them, suddenly had that moment when... Gary Lineker explaining this brilliantly post-game on BT Sports coverage when he said, essentially, he's just tried to hit it too hard. I've never been in this position, so I'll take Gary's word for it. He knows what he's talking about. But it's the only explanation, faced with an open goal like that.
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't seem to be that he takes his eye off the ball. It just seems to be that he doesn't quite get the finish right. And it does happen. It's really improved in Sterling's game, that aspect, in the last couple of years. And then 59 seconds later, Ederson makes probably an even more uncharacteristic mistake. And that's the game done.
And we see Pep doing his classic platoon move, reprising that from last season. And it's all over once again. We touched on the fact earlier, and we're not the only ones, that Pep had changed his system ahead of this. The background being that City have had this issue perennially under Guardiola in Europe. And you're just seeing, in fact, the stats there. Round of 16, they went out against Monaco. This was when he really got upset at the end at Anfield, going out the quarter-finals. It was the quarter-finals again, of course, last year, and VAR was involved as they went out, boom, to Spurs, and then last night in Lisbon against Lyon. But this has been the issue. It's what he's there to do, win the Champions League. They haven't been able to get to the semi-finals even. But when they went past Real Madrid, when he even used the same formation against them home and away, and it worked so well, everyone said, well, they've got the monkey off their back, they've turned the corner. At that point, if you're Pep with the side that strong, do you not just go, well, that worked, we'll go again with it? You'd
have thought so. I can understand why he was tempted to change, because they did struggle against Lyon last season, and although the Lyon side has changed a lot, and Ndombele's gone, Fekir's gone, the system that Lyon play seems to give them problems. So I can understand why Guardiola thought we might need to adapt what we do a little bit. But the way he adapted it seemed to draw all the sting out of Manchester City. Because they didn't play as Manchester City. The point made... Michael Cox made the point this morning that it was almost like a Mourinho or an Antonio Conte side. Very, very defensive. Yeah, and against a team like Real Madrid, you can kind of understand that maybe, or a Barcelona... Well, not this Barcelona, the previous Barcelonas, Bayern Munich. You can understand that approach. But against Lyon, you wonder if it's... You don't insult Lyon, but if it almost affords them too much respect. The thing that really surprised me was that Phil Foden, who's been brilliant since the restart, wasn't either in the team or the first substitute. And then Bernardo Silva didn't appear at all. And you kind of think they maybe need someone who can pick that lock, play that pass. Surely those are the two players you look at almost straight away if what you're doing isn't working. So that was the other side to Pep's approach, not just the fact that he changed the team before the game from what had worked previously, but the fact that he didn't seem to react, as other managers have done in these knockout games, and make these substitutions early or enough. Well, especially with the five subs, you kind of looked at City's bench, and so when the team came out last night, I kind of thought that does have the air of Pep overthinking it, and Pep is the only manager in the world who, when he gets things wrong, is told that he does that because he's too clever. No one else gets that privilege. But you kind of looked at it and thought, well, Lyon might take the lead, as they did, through Cornet. It was a brilliant finish, and he's a great player, Maxwell Cornet. But surely the strength on City's bench will define it, and for some reason he didn't seem to reach for that. Well, that's why Pep was saying in the press conference yesterday, he knew that everyone and their dog, who's never managed at this level, was going to come out and second-guess him the next day. He goes again next season, no doubt, and the players were saying it's going to be different, but their involvement in this year's Champions League ends. This is who's left in the tournament. It's fascinating. PSG taking on Leipzig, Bayern Munich up against Lyon. Just to point out that the two teams there, Leipzig and Lyon, taking on the big European names, they were both in the same group back at the start of the group stages, Leipzig and Lyon, and they were actually the third and fourth seeds in that group behind Zenit, St. Petersburg and Benfica, just to give you an idea of what an upset it is to find them in the final four of this competition. Yeah, and it's a wonderful story, you know, because although Leipzig are a slightly strange case, because obviously they're backed by a major drinks conglomerate. Lyon are the victims of the kind of super club era. Lyon do so much right in the way they scout, the way they build. But you do have two teams there in Leipzig and Lyon who are kind of model clubs in one way. You might not like the model of Leipzig or the source of the money, but they are model clubs. And then you have these two kind of established elite, PSG and Bayern, one of them long established, one of them a bit more recent. There's a really interesting kind of narrative about whether kind of financial firepower can be equalised at least by sort of smart thinking and intelligent building. So there's a real kind of, nice narrative to both semi-finals.
Oh, you like to think it can be, because that's the beauty of the game, really. All righty then. Well, disappointment for Man City, but the good news for their supporters is there's still one Manchester team to support in Europe this season. It is United, and they are in action tonight against Sevilla. And look, we're showing you lovely pictures there of a previous glorious era of Man United, because we've got one of the protagonists of that time, Dwight Yorke, joining us now. Hello, Dwight. Lovely to see you.
Hi, glad to see you guys.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us on Club 2020 Daily. How excited are you about United this evening against Sevilla, Dwight?
Well, it's been a very difficult season for us, I thought, certainly before the post of the COVID and the pandemic. United, I didn't think was in a very good place. But since the restart of the Premier League and the addition of Bruno Fernandes has really make us, the transitional period. It's been one that we are very delighted with. The team is playing some excellent football under Oli now. And I'm excited, and I'm back watching football, which is something I've gone away from doing for quite some time now.
Interesting. I wonder how many United fans have kind of fallen back in love with the club after Fernandes' arrival. It is United who are flying the flag for the Premier League. Liverpool are out, Man City are out, but United are still there. Let's talk a little bit about some of those pictures that we saw before. You from your debut season, 98-99, when, of course, Man United won the treble. You finished top scorer that year, along with Andrei Shevchenko, who was with Dinamo Kiev back then, in the Champions League, and also pretty good in the Premier League, where you were joint scorer there as well, no? All in your first season at United, you kind of hit the ground running.
Yeah, I think it's important that often enough when you go to the likes of United, you can get caught up in the hype, and the fan base is so huge. You joined a very, very big club. And the weight of a price tag being on your shoulder and having to produce that. But I think with my laid-back attitude coming from the Caribbean, I knew that I was going to a football club, playing for a great manager and a great football club alongside some great players as well. So, this is something I know from a very young age, and I just wanted to showcase my talent on the biggest stage. And going at United, that really gives me the platform to perform. I didn't think too much of the price tag. I knew I was just going to play professional football, which is all I wanted to do. And that seems to help me prolong. But what a fantastic first year at United. I could not have dreamed it to be the way it turned out to be, going on to win 3 trophies in one season, finish top scorer in both Champions League and the Premier League, and voted the Player of the Year and all of the above. So it's been a roller coaster year that, as I said, it's been the perfect year, so to speak, in many respects. So I don't think I could have done anything better than that.
All right, no, indeed. We're talking, of course, Champions League here on Club 2020 Daily. So let's talk a little bit about the incredible run that you guys had. Everybody, of course, focuses a lot on the final minutes in Barcelona. But before that, in the semi, there was an equally, perhaps even more incredible comeback, because you were away at Juventus. The first leg had been drawn at Old Trafford. Juve were an insanely good side. They'd given you so many problems. And you go 2-0 down in the opening 10 minutes. At that point, I imagine a lot of you are thinking, here we go again.
Well, we didn't. I think the beauty about this team that we were playing in, we had so many firepower, and anybody could have scored in any given day. And the reality, even though it was a little bit surprising that we did go 2 goals behind in 10 minutes, we never panicked. There was not such a panic. Normally you can kind of sense the panic and the frustration within the team. But we felt that we had enough there. We know that the next goal was going to be the crucial goal. And of course, once we got that vital goal just before we go into the halftime, when Kino stepped up and scored a brilliant header at the near post, that really started the momentum for us and give us that belief. But you look throughout that season, many occasions we had gone in position where we looked like we were going to lose the game and never lost the game, and, and really come back from that. So there was a sense of belief within that squad.
Yeah, and never more so than in the final at the Camp Nou, where you've gone through all of that to reach the final. Sincerely, Dwight, in the 88th minute, around about then, are you not thinking, what were you thinking?
Well, I didn't think anything, really. We felt we were in the game. I know a lot of people will say it's probably arguable our worst performance throughout that year. But we know we were onto something really unique, something that never been done before. And we wanted to create history. And so once they had hit the woodwork, Peter Schmeichel made a couple of fantastic saves, kept us in the game. And we just felt that there was always a chance, isn't it? And you know, you look throughout the history of United, we always come back from the dead, so to speak. You know, and there's the old saying, it's never over until the fat lady sings type of stuff. So that is something that the manager has always, you know, led to believe. And then, of course, you know, with the two substitution of Ollie and Teddy, they're coming on and really making the difference. And that's all we needed, just a little bit of an opening, and we sensed danger then.
Right.
And so then we went on to obviously nick it from the Germans.
Dwight, we got some questions for you, which we'll get onto in a second, but just one really briefly from me. It was astonishing to watch, especially that second goal go in that night in '99. When you were on the field, what did you feel? Have you ever felt anything like that as a player before? My word, I think.
No, not at all. I'd be lying to you. The reality of it is just that, you know, the football is something that you work throughout your career to have these unbelievable feeling, to win trophies, winning that competition, and obviously coming back from the situation that we were in. It was the most incredible feeling that I've ever experienced in football.
Welcome back to Club 2020 Daily, live from Stratford, East London. It's a lovely part of the world. Barges, canals, come and have a visit. Anyway, we're here at BT Sports Studios having a look at Club 2020, this incredible simultaneous conclusion of both the Champions and Europa League. And for the next 2 days, it is all about the Europa League, because we've got semi-finals tonight and tomorrow. Man United tonight taking on the five-time winners of this tournament, Sevilla. Ahead of that game, our man in Germany, Daryl Curry, has been meeting up with the man who's turned things around for Man United, Bruno Fernandes.
Bruno Fernandes has scored 6 times from the spot. Can he do it here? He does. Manchester United's new hero.
With the pace and energy of the youngsters, the Greenwoods, Rashfords, Martial, what's it like to operate behind them?
Oh, I said so many times, it's easier to play with them. No, more than pace, they have really good qualities. Of course, for me, have these players in front makes the thing easy.
I'm sure you'll be aware your manager is part of a brilliant Man United's quartet, Yorke, Cole, Sheringham. More recently, you remember Rooney, Ronaldo, Tevez. Do you think these 3 players eventually one day will be thought of in the same terms? They've got that potential?
I hope for them. We need to respect these names, but we are building our future. We are building the future of the club. We are building the future of ourselves. So I think we need to keep going and working more and more to be better and better.
That is it. Manchester United have made it. And the hero, Bruno Fernandes, again.
How important is it to go the distance to bring some silverware back to Manchester?
I think it's really important for our mentality, you know, for knowing what is playing for this club. We need to know playing for Manchester is about winning trophies, and to win the trophy you need to pass Sevilla, you know. You need to beat them, and I think for the mentality of every player, win a trophy will be good for what is coming for the next season.
You can catch more of that chat with Daryl there in the course of tonight's coverage of the game, which begins at 7 o'clock, kick-off, of course, at 8 o'clock. Dwight, still with us here on Club 2020 Daily. We've got Dwight Yorke and, of course, Rory Smith of the New York Times. Dwight, you were saying back in part 1 that his arrival has made United fun to watch again for you. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we needed something a little bit different. And certainly he has come in and energized the team. He looks forward. He always seems to be attacking the opposition defense, and very creative person. as well as score great goals himself. So, you know, we needed something different, and he brought that little bit of an X factor that was missing. And he seems to enjoy it. You know, similar like me in some way when I came to the football club. You tend to embrace it. A lot of expectation are on you, but ultimately you got to go out there and perform, and he's done that from the day he walked through the door. And on top of that, he seems to sort of got all the rest of the players to increase their performance as well. And ultimately, they seem like they're much more happier playing with the likes of Bruno Fernandes coming into the team. And of course, with Rashford coming back and Pogba coming back into the team, it's made us a much stronger team. And that's the evidence, but he's been sensational without a doubt.
Him in the lineup, United having that fantastic set of results after football returned from the whole lockdown and suspension. Towards the end of the Premier League campaign, and certainly in the game against Copenhagen, we saw the way that he was moving as he walked off against after the 120 minutes against Copenhagen. There was an idea or an impression that they were running out of gas a bit, though, Rory.
I think it started to set in the last 3 weeks of the Premier League campaign that because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was naming a very similar side throughout that really intense period of games, it did look a bit like the energy had started to drop just a little bit. Now, they have had a bit of a break, obviously, since the end of the Premier League. They did still look quite leggy against Copenhagen, but Dwight will be able to say a lot more about this than I can, having played. I've never played sport at an elite level, James, unfortunately. But I wonder whether on a game like this, I think Solskjaer said this is a major semi-final of a major tournament. The fact that you're a little bit tired probably shouldn't be the defining factor. You should be able to find those extra little bursts of energy, those extra kilometres in the legs to get you through this one.
If you're tired though, Dwight, no?
Yeah, when you lose in football matches and you're not winning the game, you always, as Rory just mentioned there, when you play the game, often fatigue does set in when you play all this game back to back or week in, week out. But if you're winning game, your legs seems to get through these phases, whereas when you lose in these games, then your legs become much more heavier. Right. United has been on a fantastic run, and so the players are up for it. And this is an opportunity for these guys to win a major trophy. They need to, at the end of the day, all these players, even though they're relatively young and still at they still have a very long career ahead of them, they still need to be winning trophies. And these players, once you're at United, you'll be judged on not just your performance, but what you in terms of what you won.
Right.
And so these players haven't won anything. And this is a fantastic opportunity, not just for Oli, because he will be judged on that as well as a manager, ultimately. So this is a fantastic opportunity for these guys. And I would think that now that they qualified for the Champions League, they won't get a better chance of winning this competition, I think.
2 games from the trophy. I mean, the reason why the energy thing is so relevant, though, is the fact that it is severe. And as we saw against Wolves, they are such an intense side. They are going to take a lot out of you if you want to come and match them. Sevilla, of course, Man United met a couple of seasons ago in the Champions League, in round of 16. Didn't go well for them that night. They were under Jose Mourinho at the time. It was goalless in Seville. And then at Old Trafford, the Spanish side beat them 2-1. And Man United went out of Europe. Running the game that night for the Andalusians was Ever Banega. Of course, there's been a huge turnover of players since then, but the one man who's still there for Sevilla, Rory, is Ever Banega himself.
Yeah, who might be the most Europa League player imaginable. He just seems to he kind of seems to embody this competition. But he's a wonderful footballer, Banega. He's never really fulfilled his talent. He's a slightly, how would you describe him off the pitch? Is he a slightly odd character off the pitch, maybe? A little bit checkered is maybe the sort of newspaper word for him, his career. But he's got this incredible talent. Great, wonderful vision, wonderful technique. United will need to deal with him because Wolves didn't really. They didn't really get a grip on him. And he kind of ran the game for Sevilla. Yeah,
it's his wonderful pass at the end for Luis Campos that saw Wolves out of Europe, out of the Europa League. He does seem to be the key man, and what they can do about him. You mentioned his off-field. We probably should reference the remarkable injury he picked up back in 2012 when he was filling up his car at a petrol station, hadn't put the handbrake on, and the car ran over his foot and I think fractured his ankle. Dwight, that's possibly the most bizarre off-field footballing injury of all time?
Well, the key is make sure you park the car properly before you get out. Yeah, it is. We have heard some bizarre injuries over my time, but this one has to go down as the best one so far. Okay. But yeah, I mean, he's a fantastic player, and you're quite rightly. I think Rory is obviously highlighted. He's a player that United needs to watch. Wolves just sit back and allow him to take charge of the game, and someone who's got the passing ability and the vision. You need to close those type of players down. He doesn't look like he's got a lot of pace anymore. He seems like he's still got a good footballing brain. So you give him time and space, and even at my age, you give me time and space, I can still play, I think. I think United will have to keep a very close eye on him. But Sevilla again has got a fantastic result. We need to be at our best to overcome that. This is not going to be an easy game, and I do believe the winner will come from this game tonight.
All right, yeah, two best teams left in the competition, very, very possibly. All right, we've been running our poll. We were asking you who has been the best Man United strike force of the modern era. Up to 84% now for Rooney, Tevez and Ronaldo in 2007, 2008. I can only apologise, Dwight, that you didn't get a better showing. They're all very young viewers, ours, I think, here on Club 2020 Daily. But just your thoughts on that triumvirate, that magnificent triumvirate. Of course, they won Champions League in Moscow. Amazing stats as well, a number of goals they had together. And particularly Cristiano Ronaldo, this was the year that he really turned from the show pony, to borrow the expression, into an absolute goal machine. What did you make of this trio of players?
Well, fantastic, isn't it? They were exciting to watch, and goals from all angles. I could understand why the young generation would go for them, but because it was exciting. They scored all type of goals. They were direct. They were exciting to watch. They scored spectacular goals. They scored tap-in goals. And at that time, that's when, certainly United was in full flow to watch these players on the back of us after coming off our treble winning years and the history behind that club. These players have taken the club forward in a certain kind of a new era style of playing football. Yeah. So I can understand why people could say this trio was the most exciting. But the one thing we probably hold over these guys, they haven't been able to done the treble. They might have done the double, but not the treble. So I think that in itself speaks volume as to how these fans do view their players. But it's nevertheless, it's still an exciting trio to watch because we're very exciting.
Just a very casual flex from Dwight there. You might have won the title in the Champions League, but really, until you've come back with 3 trophies, don't you? It's not really enough.
84% when you were wrong, but he's too polite.
I leave that for you guys. I leave that up for you guys to make that decision. I'm not carried away by certainly the poll that has been granted there.
Well,
the history speaks for itself.
Polls can get things wrong sometimes, Dwight. Listen, we don't have too much time left, but I have got a couple of questions from viewers for you. Shakib says, who was the quickest player that Dwight played with or against?
Oh, I think the quickest I've seen, is the original Ronaldo.
Right.
I think he was the quickest, and probably arguably the best player I've seen on a football pitch.
Yeah, what a player he was. Richard Keane says, does Dwight Yorke believe that Solskjaer can get United back to competing with the elite and winning the big trophies? He kind of is at the moment, I think. Dwight, what's your take?
Well, we are trending in the right direction. As I said, 3 years ago, I wouldn't have watched United. I'm back watching them now because certainly they got much more exciting to watch. And Ollie is invested in some young players. He brought in, as I said, the boy Bruno Fernandes now. So that seems to propel us a little bit. But we are trending in the right direction. Finished this season. I expect with a couple of additional next year, we'll be able to compete for the Premier League. So that's interesting. So whether he can get us up, I think he needs to start winning trophies now. Right. And I think once he can do that, then we'll be back to the best start.
One last question really quickly. Daniel asks, what did Keane say at half-time in the match against Juve?
No, I think he didn't say too much, really. It came from the manager. Okay. So I think the manager was the one who really said, listen, we're still in the game.
Well, indeed you were. Indeed you were. Magnificent to have you with us today, Dwight. And thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed the rest of the tournament. Rory, thank you for being with us as well. Quick heads up about what's on the way in Club 2020. Of course, today and tomorrow it is those Europa League semi-finals, Sevilla, Man United, Inter tomorrow in Düsseldorf against Shakhtar Donetsk. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, Leipzig take on PSG and Lyon. They couldn't, could they, against the incredible Bayern Munich? We'll find out Wednesday from 7 o'clock. Brilliant. Of course, every day, 11 o'clock, Club 2020 will be here live from Stratford with all the latest from Germany and Portugal as well. So make sure you tune in tomorrow. As I say, many, many thanks to Dwight and Rory for being with us today. Do make sure you tune in tonight for the action as the Europa League returns with those semi-finals. After the kind of drama, after the kind of upsets and storylines that we've seen in the last few days, there's literally no way of knowing what is going to happen. See you tomorrow.
Massive moment in Manchester United's season. 5 times winners, Sevilla. A very difficult side to beat. Regular Marshall, and again, all the way. Oh, that is sensational. What a stupendous goal. Greenwood! It's Ocampos. Steady nerves needed here.